Hi everyone, welcome back to Rainbow Acrylics. My name's Claire. This video is using paint leftovers and my new split cup. I had a really fun idea of doing lots and lots of tiny little ring pulls with my split cup. I think I did 28 on this piece, on this canvas, so it's crazy. It's really busy, but really neutral pale colours. So afterwards, after it had dried, I decided I needed to add something more. So I've embellished it with some textured roses. So I've used the stencil and some medium just to give some texture, and created some bright red roses on a really pale, beautiful pale green background. So really happy with the piece. Let me show you what happened. These are the empty cups now of the colours I've used. So I've got, in fact, let me show you here. 3 different greens that I used in the first one, all very pale. This one's just a very slight off-white, made with white and oxide chromium green hue. And also this one was made with the same paint. This one was made with Amsterdam Brilliant Green and white, so it's really pale. Then I've got 2 yellows. I used Naples, I've got it here. Naples Yellow Deep, but with white. There's more white in that one than there was in that one. So I've got 2 different shades there. And then I've got a totally different green here. And this was made with Amsterdam Sap Green and white. So 4 greens and 2 different shades of yellow. And I've put them all into my 4-chamber split cup, and it's full. So I mixed up way too much paint. I always do. I just get carried away. So I've always got leftovers. So it's quite nice because I'm now going to do something I wouldn't have done otherwise. My idea is to do, I don't know if this will work. I'm new to these split cups, so I don't know how this will work. But what if I did lots of little ring pours and then tilted it out? That's what I'm going to try. So it doesn't really matter where I start. So that isn't the best start because that is just all green, but never mind. I was just trying to finish that. Okay. That's better. Right, that is nuts. That would look amazing in really nice bright contrasting colours. It's quite subtle, it's quite pretty. I've got a tiny bit of the mintier green left, so I'm just going to use that as some flow extender just to try and help this flow as much as possible, so I can keep as much of the pretty design as possible. I'm so excited to see how this is going to turn out. I have no idea. I have never done a pour like this before. Loving using these split cups because the colours just don't muddy. I think it's going to be a long time before I go back to a regular ring pour or straight pour, because I just love the fact that the colours are so separate. because they do not blend until they actually hit the canvas. Even on the way out the cup, the colours are still really separate in the jet of paint coming out the cup onto the canvas. It's only when they really hit the canvas do they really rub up against each other and start being able to blend. Right, who knows what this is going to turn out like. So the first thing I'm noticing is that it's not flowing as one. It's starting to now. It wasn't flowing as one to start with, and that's because there's very unequal amounts of paint all over the canvas for obvious reasons, because of the so many puddles. So I'm just stretching it out just to get as much canvas covered as possible before I go over the edges. Right, let's start going over. Wow, wow, wow. Absolutely love it. How interesting. How interesting. It's not as subtle as I was expecting. And I think it's the what's making it is actually that darker green in there, that mintier green, because it's creating more contrast. Because that came out the cup first, because I layered that only on the top. It's kind of everywhere. And what's interesting now is they're obviously still separate puddles, but they are all distinct. They're all blending together as well, so they're less distinct. Oh, it's so funny. Now, I've still got enough paint on here that I could continue to tilt if I wanted to. I think I quite like it how it is. I wonder about just tilting off over here a bit more. Just going to stir a little tiny bit more tilting, I think. Or should I? I think I'm going to leave it, because why bother risking ruining something that I'm actually really quite happy with? Why would I do that? Yep, I've answered my own question. I'm leaving it. I love it. Really happy. Right, let me get you in for a close-up. Just look how weird and wonderful it is. It's so interesting. There's something quite mesmerising about it. I think it's because it's so soft and subtle. I almost feel like it's a bit dreamy, really. Like, this doesn't really make sense. But there is some structure to it, but it's all a bit, yeah, just a bit dreamy, a bit swimmy, but actually really, really pretty. I never do pale colours. I never, ever do pours like this. So what a lovely change, and what a lovely contrast to do something that's not contrasting. Look at the layers. You can see the layers literally as they've poured out the cup. Not the neatest, I think, because it was quite fluid. So yeah, they're not the neatest, but does that matter? I don't think it does actually on a pour like this. I think if you do one single pour, ring pour, and then there's a very definite focus and centre, that has to be perfect and spot on. Wow, I want to do this again, but in bright colours. Right, I'll be back when this is dry. So it's now dry, and it's just dried so beautifully smoothly. It's really quite subtle. The colours are quite pale. It's just so interesting. So really, really pleased with it as an experiment. However, as a painting on its own, I'm not too keen. I think it's a bit boring. I definitely wouldn't hang it on my wall. It needs something. So it's greens. So that to me means sort of outside and scenery. So what better to do some sort of embellishment with some flowers. So I'm going to use, I've got a rose stencil here. It's a sort of plasticky stencil. I've never used it before, and I've always wanted the chance to use it. So I'm going to stencil on a rose right in the centre. Now it's quite a small rose compared to the size of the canvas. So I'm going to do quite a few roses. So it will be a bit of a repeating pattern. So I'm going to do reds here. And then for the leaves and the stem, I'm going to do the greens that I used in the base. So I'm going to use this one, Brilliant Green by Amsterdam, and Pebeo, which one is it? Chrome Green Hue. So these are the two greens I used in these bits here, but I'm not going to put white with them this time. I'm just going to use these bright colours, so it's really going to stand out. So the first thing I need to do is make sure my stencil is in the centre of the canvas. So I'm happy that's in the centre. I've used some frog tape just to tape it down. So first thing I'm going to do is use some of this. It's Golden Regular Gel Gloss. The reason I'm using this is because it's going to dry clear. So if I accidentally get a little bit underneath the stencil, it won't matter too much because it's going to dry clear. It will dry glossy, so you will see it. So I've got to be careful, but it will dry clear, so should be okay. So I'm just holding the stencil down, and I'm just going to very gently just smooth it over the stencil. So it's just seeped right under there. So I'm wondering, what do I do about that? Or actually, what I think I will do is leave it for now. When I take the stencil up, I will tidy that up. So the next step is to put some colour on. So I've got a red, a magenta and a violet, because I think they're very similar colours. They're very rich colours for my rose. And then I've got my two greens for the stem. So let's do the flower first. I just want a little bit of variation. So now I'm going to really carefully try and lift this stencil up. So if I first of all try and keep the stencil still, but just peel back the frog tape. I love that. That is beautiful. The texture is amazing. Really, really pretty. Right, there's just a few places where it's leaked. So I've just got a baby wipe here, a wet wipe. So I'm just going to see if I can wipe off some of that excess. I'm going to do my second rose now. I've actually just cut the edges off the stencil. It's a bit risky because it means I've got to be really careful not to go over the edge, but otherwise I'd have to wait for this to dry, and I want to do it now because the corner would actually go over the flower that I've already done. So I just want to get going and do it again. I'm going to stagger them all over the place. I've also reversed it, so it's the other way round now. So exactly the same process, but I just need to be a bit more careful I don't go too close to the edge. So it's now totally finished, and I'm so happy I added to it. What a boring painting otherwise, what an interesting painting now with the embellishments. So since filming, you can see I've added a border. So I just painted on Amsterdam bronze, and then I've just outlined it with a black pen just to create almost like a slight shadow. It was really tricky to do around where the paste was, but I wanted to keep the colour of the paste on top so it looks like the border is underneath, and I love that effect. It's not perfect. I don't think I could ever get it perfect, but I'm really happy with it. The flowers are so pretty. You can see the differences in colour. So purple, red, and then pinky. And then the base, I mean, it's just all a bit crazy, a bit nuts, a bit full on, but I just think it works because the base is so pale, but the flowers are so dark and textured and raised. If I put it flat on the floor, I can just try and show you. In fact, if I move it, oh, there we go. You can see that texture now. Can you see the texture in the flower, texture in the leaves? So the texture is in the paste and the paint, but also you've got the variation in colours in the paint. So it looks a little bit more, I guess, a bit more realistic. So yeah, so happy. I'm really pleased I put the border on. It just needed something to finish it, just to complete it. And I love a border. Great, so all done. Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think of this. If you like it, please hit the thumbs up button. Great, thanks for watching. Bye.